entrepreneur is Sharon Lobel. I'm gonna let her come on, talk about her business.
That was a tough one to follow. As you might tell from my lack of accent, I'm not a local. I'm basically a California transplant. I had two sisters living here, and I would come out and visit, and I liked it. I liked the lack of traffic, and people spoke to you, and they waved, and I thought Madisonville is wonderful, but I never, ever planned to live here. Becoming an entrepreneur, I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur was. And my entrepreneurship started about 30 years ago. I'm kind of like Tony Smith, where he said he's an entrepreneur. I'm an opportunist entrepreneur. I was young, married, had an infant, and decided I wanted to go back to work, and realized that the only wage I could make would barely pay for the child care. So I said, I've got to get a degree to make any money. But I couldn't afford to get a degree. Girlfriend said, go work for Pac Bell, which later became AT&T. They'll pay for your degree. I go, what? They'll pay me to go to school and work? I loved it. Went, bugged the girl so bad she finally got me a job just so I quit bugging her. And 2 years later, a week before I gave birth to our second child, I got my degree. And I said, this is great. I'm going to kick back for a few months, and then I'm going to grow up and get a real job. And AT&T said, why don't you take 3 months off, and then we want you to come back. And I go, I don't think so. And they go, we want you to sell yellow pages. And I go, you mean people pay for that stuff in that yellow book? And in California, boy, did they pay. So for the next 27 years, not knowing that I was an entrepreneur, I went out and helped all these businesses start their business, start advertising, resolving their problems, getting new customers, and had a ball. Got to make my own hours that equaled 60 to 80 hours a week, but they were my own hours, you know. Had a wonderful time. About 5 years ago, AT&T says, you know, some of you old people are making a little bit too much money, and we can hire 3 people for your one. And they dangled this little carrot, and I went, okay. And I left AT&T. And then I thought, what the hell did I do now? You know, I've been coming to Madisonville. I even bought some property here because my sisters both smoked, and it drove me crazy. I couldn't live with them when I come to visit. So I got my own little place, and I thought, real estate's pretty inexpensive here, and I'd go get another little place. And I thought, you know, since I'm going to retire someday, these little rental incomes might come in handy. So over the years, I had bought property, and our mothers had aged, and I decided I wanted to put them in an assisted living facility. And I didn't like what I saw in California, so on one of my visits here, my realtor friend said, why don't you open your own assisted living? And I said, you're nuts. And she said, I have just the place for you. So I went, and I was the fool. I said S-U-C-K-E-R, and I bought the old R.E. Moore building on Broadway. Every intention to make it a very small, 8-unit assisted living, very home-like atmosphere for my mother and mother-in-law. And it took me about 2 years to renovate that old property because I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And in the meantime, both of our parents passed away. So I'm sitting there, and I'm still doing the assisted living. I finally went and became educated about what I could do, got all the license, still living in California, popping back and forth. And March 1st of 2011, our first 2 residents were due to move in. I was so excited. But before I left California, I thought, you know, I have really good insurance. I better go have a physical and do all that good stuff. And on February 22nd, 6 days before our first residents were moving in, I was told I had breast cancer. So we go, I don't think I can move those residents in. And we had one tenant upstairs in one of our apartments that we'd already fixed. And he came down and he put his arm around me and he goes, "So sorry to hear about your breast cancer. Now what are you gonna do with these 8 studios down here?" When I finally stopped crying, I said, "Okay, I don't have a clue." And he says, "I'll rent them out to the GE interns." I said, "What the hell are you talking about? They're not gonna want these little studios with a common room and a common kitchen and a common laundry area." He says, "How much do you need?" And I figured out what our house payment on it was and what it, kind of utilities, and I said, "That much." He said, "Okay." Next day he called me. 6 of the 8 were rented. And we have never looked back. That was just a little over 3 years ago. McKay filled me up for the summer. I went through all my treatment, and it was wonderful. This money was coming in, and everybody was happy. And then I go, okay, when the GE interns leave, what then? I had fallen into the most wonderful niche anybody could fall into. I found out that our community needed month-to-month rentals. I had people calling me. The Chamber of Commerce was wonderful. They were referring people over to me even before I was a business. My business card still said Golden Ages Assisted Living. It's like, you're assisted living? Well, I still need an apartment. We have been able to go from the 13 units on Broadway in 3 years. We now have 32 units throughout our community. And we do nothing but month-to-month rentals for companies. Somebody moving into the community that's waiting to buy a house, they call us. We provide everything. We put new pillows, new sheets, new blankets, everything in. They have to bring their clothes, their toothbrush, and their laptop, and that's it. We stay completely full. I'm at the point of having to go bigger, which kind of scares me because I still don't know what I'm doing after 3 years. But we love doing it. We have the best clientele in the world, you know. And so, but we'll take more. Don't get me wrong.
Questions?
Oh, that was too much.
No, we're all soaking it up.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But it's just been opportunities. The doors have opened. I've walked through them, and I've just been blessed. And we love being in Madisonville. You know, I never knew there was this niche market. People will call me. They're saying, "I'm staying in a motel. I'm ready to go crazy. I'm ready to shoot the maid that's making the noise out in the hallway." Tony Smith alluded to it last week, that service was everything. We stumble over ourselves. If somebody says, "You know, that Posturepedic bed is really kind of warm," go, "Okay, we'll put a pillow top in there tomorrow." You know, they go, "You know, I have my dog with me." Well, I'll find one of our units that are pet friendly. You know, we have no carpet anywhere, so we've gone to things. We have granite, we have tile, we have hardwood floors. People at Broadway, I go pull up. It's a big, ugly yellow building with a blue metal roof. And you'll say, "No way am I staying there," until we open the door. And then people will say, "I can't believe that's in Madisonville," because it is so nice, so unused to what they're accustomed to. Yes.
I met Sharon Lobel when she first decided to do the Golden Ages, and when we went through there and saw the facility and saw the pieces that she had put in place, it was like HGTV comes to Madisonville. It was absolutely very unique. And one of the things I found out about her is the fact that she took all of her rooms and she actually decorates them herself, finds pieces for them. They're all unique. They're not cookie cutter replicas of other rooms and stuff. So my question is, I didn't know you had that many units at this point.
We have grown so quickly. Our biggest problem is that we're older. I wish I had done this 25 years ago, because there is such a need in our community. I basically have never advertised. The Chamber has been good to me. Baptist Health has been good to me. General Electric is very good to me. And even when I think it's, you know, we have 2 empty, it's like, "Oh, now what?" They just fill up. I typically have a waiting list.
So my question to you is on the houses and the replicating what's been already more, have you done that, and what's worked and what's not worked? And if you go to make a larger step and a larger commitment to doing this and expanding, what are your plans to do that? What are your optimal property requirements?
What we're doing right now, we have a 13 unit, a 7 unit, and then we have 5 duplexes, and we have 2 single family homes. What I have found are my larger units are much better for us because we've grown so quickly. Just going and doing repairs and stuff, it's much easier to send a handyman to this property and that property rather than to 10 properties. So what my goal is I would like to get rid of some of my smaller duplexes and stuff like that and have more of the 6 to 10 plexes.
I have a grown daughter with 2 dogs that needs to move out. The Terry to the Tara. Everything open?
No. But I always tell people, call me, tell me what you want, because our business changes so quickly. Like when I have traveling nurses, sometimes they are told that day that that's their last day. So what I don't have today, I may have tomorrow. You know, I typically ask for a 2-week notice, but with our nurses, that's just not possible. You know, I'm not going to make them pay for 2 weeks when they got terminated. But I always tell people, call me, let me know what you want. If something comes up, I'll let you know. I also I have a doctor coming in for Baptist Health on the 15th of August, and all I have is the tiniest studio I own is the only one that's going to be open at that time. And what I told her is, I showed her around and said, this is what's going to be open. If you want this, what I do is when something else opens, I always go back to my current renters and say, a 1-bedroom opened, a 2-bedroom opened, and they always have the first right, and we even move them over.
What kind of pricing range?
Our studios start at $650 a month, and it goes up. The highest thing I have is $900 a month, except for my 7-bedroom house that is much more. Yeah.
Sharon, but in your, well, let's just use Golden Ages property for an example. That $650 includes all of
Everything.
their utilities.
Wireless internet, cable TV, all of their maintenance, free washers and dryers. They literally have to pay for nothing else. And I always give all of my renters $50 a month off if they pay on the 1st, no matter who they are.
And when you deal with like a corporate entity like GE, now, do they pay the rent?
No, they give stipends to their employees, and their employees still have to pay me directly. The only time I've had direct billing is through Baptist Health.
Okay. When you're like a normal apartment or a property landlord, they do pay deposits. Do they pay a deposit up front?
I would say 95% of the time I waive deposits. I have yet to have anything stolen, broken, anything. Most of my clients are coming from somebody that has been referred to me. I have one lady right now, her home burned down and she had no place to go, so you know, we got her in. I'm very fortunate that I'm not working with people that are going to be abusive on our property or rental or anything else. There are times that somebody might be referred to me that I don't really know them, and my deposit is a whole $200. The only other time is for pets. I require a $500 deposit because I regret it every time I rent to one.
Able to turn on a dime. Is that right? I mean, or is it?
Yes.
Because it sucks energy for me.
Well, you know what? I even look at some of the worst case scenarios when I've been where I had 2 people, I've had one GE girl come in for the 2nd time, and I had to put her in my guest room for 2 nights upstairs. And I was so worried about it, and so I called Kristen and I said, you know, the people that were supposed to move out didn't move out this weekend. It's going to be Monday. I said, all I have is my upstairs bedroom. She said, that's fine. She says, what's for dinner? You know, we just, I tell people up front, all of our properties are non-smoking. It's just the way it is. incentive, pay me the full rent. You know, I'm so open and upfront. It is what it is. This is all I have. When I have something bigger, I'll let you know. I'll move you over, you know, and we do. You know, if they don't like the couch and you want recliners, let me know. We'll get you recliners. I have somebody today, I have to go get him a bigger TV because he can't see it from his bed. So I'll take that TV out and get him a bigger TV. We're just so service-minded, and it keeps coming back to us. We have GE interns now that are coming back for their third rotation and staying with us. I have the hospital that will just call me and say, I have a doc coming in on this date, can you take care of him? Yeah, in the story. You know, give him my number, tell me when he's on his way. You know.
Have you patterned some of what you're doing after any other business or any other?
Don't have a clue. I do know I've been approached to do the same thing we're doing, but in Hopkinsville for Jimmy Stewart. I'm already too big for two people. I mean, I work my husband to death. I mean, he's way too old to be getting up on the roofs. I wish that I could find somebody young to buy our whole business because it's a wonderful business. It needs to be younger people than us, you know. But in the meantime, I'll keep it.
I was gonna say, somebody should pattern after you.
Yeah, sure.
How many employees that you have?
I have 3 full-time employees. I have a housekeeper. I have a gentleman that does my maintenance of the yards, the mowing and everything else. And I have a third man that knows a little bit about plumbing, a little bit about electrical, a little bit about, you know, building walls and stuff like that. We're known to go by, if you know a big piece of property that is a mess and cheap, those are the ones we like. Because I go in and I get everything to my preference anyway, and we make sure that we just have certain requirements. Like all of our studios, they still have a refrigerator, a small little kitchen area, but then they have this huge, beautiful gourmet kitchen that they can go out and use at will, you know? So if I had to get a master's degree in business and say, this is my business plan, I'm telling you, I'd fail the class. Because no period in time that I ever think this concept would work. I mean, it should work. We have 8 people in studios, and they all have a common theater room, a common kitchen, a common laundry room. They absolutely love it because they all can go back into their own little studio space, and yet if they want to be around people, they are. I have a lot of really young interns, and it's like the girls love it because they're never afraid. You know, they have a secondary door that they're going through. Nobody's going to follow them in. There's other people around if they get scared or whatever. And when we went out of town, and one of my tenants, the main air went out in our big building, and they went outside, figured it out, got a new fan blade, and fixed the AC, and nobody even called me. 2 weeks later, they go, you know, we took an old fan off that piece of junk AC out there and put it on. And I said, you did? And they go, yeah, we did. And that's the kind of tenants we get.
To consider it a homeless.
Yes. You know, my burned out lady is building a new home. She says, they've approved me through October. She says, but I'm going to extend it a little longer. She says, I kind of like not having to do anything. You know?
The concept that you have pretty much mirrors to some degree, accidentally, I'm sure, the concept they have in southern Mississippi and stuff like USM where K-Bo went to school. They had a common area like that. Of course, it wasn't anywhere on the specs that you've got, and had 5 rooms around it. Everybody had out exterior doors in, but they all had a common area, the kitchen and the living room and the laundry room, and each had their own bathrooms and stuff. And that's worked out very well for them, and then they charge a lot more than what you do, just so you'll know, in case you want to raise your rates at some point.
Well, and sometimes people go, 800 for a 1-bedroom. I go, check what the utilities are, call the cable company, call the wireless internet, and then call me back. You know, but typically, you know, our rates are really, really reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Yeah. And especially for as high as we jump for them.
You jump.
Yes.
I'm so excited because this happens to me all the time in Madisonville, you know, my Jewish home. I had called you helping someone else and didn't know it was you till just now. I mean, I know you, but I didn't know that was you. The phone number I have, the lady who has rentals, I have it written down on That's why somebody said, here, call her, she's got rentals, because it was somebody who was coming to work for my boyfriend for a short period of time and needed a 1 month rental, and at the time you didn't have anything, but I was like, oh my gosh, I just now put you together with that, and I'm like, yeah. But I was gonna ask you this, do you have something, since these people are, you know, most of them aren't Madisonville people and they're just coming in for a short period of time, I was just sitting there going, how could we work together? And I talk to people all the time and I'm a connector, but I'm thinking, do you have like a book, like a guest services book, we'll call it, that has different people such as massage therapists or
No, but
attorneys
it's
or...
a really good idea. I don't even have a website yet.
Oh my.
You know, that is how bad I am. Because I don't consider myself an entrepreneur yet.
Okay, we'll
You know,
talk.
when I grow up, I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Just an observation. I see
Oh, no.
you're in a spot where I've been, and don't need to say it, I don't want to say it offensively, but we can rise to our level of incompetence to the point where you've got all the units you can possibly handle for the two of you. Now you're at a point, it seems like you're going to have to get some help. You can't run around with 30 units doing all the maintenance, climbing on a roof, things like this. If you continue to grow without getting that help, you're going to find...
I won't.
You're going to find your quality is going to turn the corner and start going down.
We're at that exact stage. We're at a very...
Just an observation.
Yeah, but you're correct, because we are definitely getting torn right now, because we are at that point that I need somebody to be me, because I'd like to leave town for more than 5 days without a flood or a fire or anything like that. And so it's really difficult. At some point, I'd love to just sell it all to somebody young that could do it, or I am going to have to enlarge my staff and get more units, because this week is the first week that I actually had to turn somebody away that I really needed to get into a unit and say, I can't help you. And when that becomes a problem, I have to expand.
I have a suggestion for you.
Give it to me.
Because when you're not big enough yet to go to a full-time employee, it doesn't sound like. And you're going to have a lot of varied requirements. Know a little bit about electrical,
Yeah,
a little bit about
exactly.
plumbing, and those people are awful hard to come by. What you might consider is getting a contractor to handle some of this stuff. Get somebody that you can call, that can send 2 men in a truck over to move somebody if that's what you need. A plumber that you can work with on a regular basis, an electrician you can work with on a...
Actually, we have those.
Yeah.
We have a plumber that we call at the drop of a hat.
Sure.
We have an electrician. You know, we have our own drywaller. We have an Amish team when I need construction that will come in. But for the working, I need another me.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
and
getting hard to find.
you know what, it is. And when it's yours, the passion shows, and I think that's 90% of how I get my clients, because we've put our life savings into it, we've put our heart into it, and I know that we have the best product in Madisonville. You know, and I'm not saying that against any other landlords. We are a different niche.
You're not going to compete
Yeah.
with the people that want to sign a lease for a year.
No. We have all vessel seats, we have granite countertops, we have wood floors, we have recliners. We have nothing that a typical landlord would provide, you know, so.
It's HGTV.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch HGTV.
Well, or Salvation Army or Goodwill. But we have a ball with our clients. We're very, very blessed with who has referred people to us. But yes, we need to grow so that I never, ever turn somebody away. And that's what I had to do this week. And it was very disheartening for me, you know, because they're gonna find another place.
Do you ever shop at the Habitat for Humanity?
I do. Every Thursday morning, I'm there at 9 a.m. Yes. I take advantage of a lot of used things, and we just make them new again, you know, because things get beat up in an apartment, even if you're the best landlord in the world. You know, if I put something cherry in there, somebody's gonna set a drink on it, because that's what they do at home. So I put something painted that I can repaint it when they leave, you know. Any other questions? And I want to thank everybody for sending me clients, because I've gotten them from all walks of life, and every tenant has been absolutely wonderful.
Two great presenters today. If y'all look on your announcement sheet, we do have a cultivating business seminar coming up. Several different presenters coming from Frankfurt, from Lexington, different places like that. Sarah coming, Mary's coming, the SBDC. If you're looking for ways to help refine your business concept, strategy, intellectual property, and most importantly, finances, web tools, tax credits, our micro loan program, things like that. There'll be all kind of information on that. We'll be glad to tell you all about it. It's going to be on the 28th of August. It is free, and if you'll contact our office, we'll be glad to tell you more about it.
Where will it be located?
It's going to be our office at 755 Industrial Road. So, thank you. We'll see you next week.